Hi, today we are looking at section 7.5, which deals with factoring quadratics. Now, we've already gone over one way of factoring, which was product sum. And we could use that for when we have term that has our ax squared term, our bx, and our c term. Now, in some situations, we won't have our bx term. We also could potentially not have our c term. So we'll start out by doing an example of utilizing our product sum. Then we'll go into utilizing what's known as a modified product sum. And then we'll look at what to do if we're missing our bx term or our c term. So like we mentioned, we've already gone over one way of factoring quadratics, which was our product sum rule. Okay, so this first one, we have a product of 2 with a sum of 3. So two things that multiply to 2, add to 3 would be positive 2 and positive 1. So factoring this, we'd have x plus 2 and x plus 1. Now, if we were asked to solve this, we'd then say x equals -2 and -1. Now we've got this one. We've got 3x squared plus 13x plus 12. So if we go and do what we did in the last section notes, factor out the a value in front, we can't evenly divide our 13 by the 3. So we're left with this fraction. Now this is going to make it very difficult to do our product sum. So if you encounter a situation where you can't evenly divide out the number in front, what we want to do is what's known as a modified product sum. So our product becomes our first term times our last term. So we'd have a product of 36. And our sum will still just be our middle term. Now we want to find two things that multiply to 36, add to 13. So that would be 9 and 4. Now, one way our modified product sum is different from our regular product sum is whatever number is in front, we'll start each of our brackets with. So we'll start each bracket with 3x. So we have 3x plus 9 and 3x plus 4. Now, with this modified product sum, we can see if we FOILed this out, we'd have 9x squared. So we're always going to have an extra factor of whatever number is in front here. So therefore, we will divide that out of one of our two brackets. So I, for example, would divide out this one because I won't get a fraction here. So that gives me x plus 3 times 3x plus 4. Now, if we have no constant term, so no c term, we just factor out one of our x's. So we've got y equals 4x squared plus 12x. So if we also have numbers that we can factor out, we'll do that. So in this case, 4 and 12 are both multiples of 4, so we'll factor that out. So we've got 4 times, and we'll also factor out an x because both terms have an x. So we've got 4x times x plus 3. Now, if we were asked to solve this, we'd have x is equal to 0 because if this x equals 0, 4 times 0 is 0 times this gives us 0. And from here, we would have -3. Next one, another example, this one we have 3x squared minus 7x. So this one we can't factor out a number, we'll just factor out the x. We've got x times 3x minus 7. Now, if we're solving it, that'd be x is equal to 0. This one's harder to get, so what I would recommend is just take what's in our brackets to the side, set it equal to 0, because we want to know what value of x makes it equal to 0, and then we arrange it. So we have 3x equals 7, divide both sides by 3, so we've got 7 over 3. If we have no middle term, we usually have a difference of squares. Now, not only do we need to not have a middle term, but our constant term needs to be negative. Now to solve, we'll take the square of the first term and the last term. So we've got y is equal to x squared minus 49. So you can see we don't have our middle term. We don't have our bx term. So to factor this, we are just taking the square root of this first term, which is x, and that will start each of our brackets. Then square root of this last term, which is 7. Now, part of the reason it's called difference is because they have different signs. So we've got one that's x plus 7, other that's x minus 7. Now, whenever we have a difference of squares, our x will equal plus or minus whatever value we have here. So it can be positive 7 from this one and negative 7 from this one. So here's another example. We've got y equals x squared minus 25. So once again, difference of squares. Because we don't have that middle term, square root of x squared is x. Square root of 25 is 5. So one will be positive, one will be negative.